Hi, welcome back to Entertainment Review. I'm your host, Lexi Twitty, and today I will be reviewing the new movie, Glass. After watching the trailer of the movie, I was pretty excited to see it in theaters. I thought it looked very interesting and well produced. The critics thought otherwise, though. They had only given the movie a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics have failed to recognize the brilliance of several movies in the past, but I was still a little worried about this one. Glass is the third of a series of movies. The first two movies were Unbreakable and Split. Unbreakable came out in the year 2000, while Split and Glass came out in 2016 and 2019. It's a little odd that they made the trilogy span over almost 2 decades. Anyway, a man named David Dunn was the protagonist of Unbreakable. The sequel, Split, had a man named Kevin Wendell Crumb as its protagonist. In Glass, David Dunn and Kevin Wendell Crumb were both given pretty major parts, although the movie was more centered around a man named Elijah Price. If you don't want to watch the prequels before watching Glass, it won't be that hard to pick up on the plot and characters. In the beginning of Glass, the characters were reintroduced. David Dunn was the sole survivor of a train crash and had found himself with superhuman abilities short afterward. Kevin was described as a man with dissociative identity disorder. This meant that he had multiple personalities. Kevin had previously been on the news because he had kidnapped a few girls and was holding them in an unknown location. David had found the location of the girls in an all too convenient manner. He bumped into Kevin on the street. David concluded that the warehouse that the girls were in was somewhere in the area, and he managed to find it very quickly after the encounter. When David frees the girls from their chains, Kevin comes back to the warehouse and we meet his most dangerous personality. This personality was referred to as the Beast. David and the Beast had a pretty well-edited showdown, but it sadly concluded when the police had so conveniently arrived at the warehouse. Both Kevin and David were arrested and taken to a mental facility. At this mental facility, we are introduced to Dr. Staple. Dr. Staple had experience with people who believed that they were superheroes or had superpowers. She was there to help them realize that they were not superhuman and were merely mortal. If David or Kevin showed aggressiveness or anger towards her, she would use their weakness on them. Kevin would be exposed to a strobe light, which made him change into a more mellow personality. It seemed to work every time, but I don't understand why he didn't just cover his eyes. David, on the other hand, was soaked with water. This was because he had a scarring experience that involved drowning. If being soaked would set off his huge fear, though, I don't know how he would have showered or bathed himself. The movie concludes and we are introduced to Elijah Price. Elijah was also known under the name Mr. Glass, which was given to him when he was younger by the other children in this town because he had incredibly fragile bones. But bullying had gotten the best of him, and he spent the rest of his childhood inside his house reading comic books. This fueled his obsession with superheroes and finding other unnatural humans like himself. He came up with a plan to find these superheroes and expose them to the rest of the world. When he meets Kevin and David, his plan really starts to blast off. He manipulates Kevin into helping him escape the mental institution. The security guards don't notice anything for some reason. Anyway, Kevin and Elijah decide to get David out of the asylum so that he and Kevin can finish what they started. Elijah does this by taunting David until he breaks his cell door down. If it was that easy, I don't know why David didn't just escape earlier. Once they found their way outside, there was another showdown between the Overseer and the Beast. Part of the way through, a bunch of men show up with SWAT team-like uniforms and guns. They were an anti-superhero society whose main focus was to eliminate all humans with superpowers from the earth. We shortly figure out that the head of this secret society was Dr. Staple. Anyway, guns are firing and Kevin and David are still engaged in a battle. Elijah films the Beast and the Overseer fighting and sends it to his mother in hopes that she will complete his lifelong dream and share the evidence of superheroes with the world. This movie concludes when she posts it on the internet and it starts to spread. One flaw in this plan was that a majority of the world population would just think that the footage was edited and people still wouldn't believe in superheroes. In conclusion, I would rate this movie a 3 out of 5 stars. Although the plot had some major holes, it was still a good concept. The editing was also really great and the acting was phenomenal. For instance, James McAvoy, the actor that plays Kevin Wendell Crumb, had to also play his 23 other personalities. He managed to play them each perfectly. This has been Lexi Twitty with Entertainment Review. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.